Hey, everybody. I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group, and we're here for another big announcement show. You're going to hear from a good friend of mine about a big announcement that he's making right here on the Big Announcement Show. Here we go. Welcome again to the Big Announcement Show. My name is Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. You can learn more about us by going to our website, theleonthomasgroup.com. And while you're there on the website, you might as well check out the racquetball program that I run in Baltimore, Maryland called racquetballrevival.com. We're here for another big announcement. This is the show where folks that become clients of the Leon Thomas Group make announcements about some up and coming things that they have going on. And we have a good friend of mine, Mr. Michael Azadian, with us today. Let's bring Mike on. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Leon, how are you?
All is good. It's good to have you here. Now, Mike, let's talk weather for a second. Here in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland, it's raining like crazy. What do you got there up in Western Pennsylvania? What do you have right now?
It was overcast all day, wasn't very hot, and all of a sudden, just as the show started, it just started raining right now. So a little bit of rainy weather, not as bad as you guys have down there, though.
Yeah. So, Mike, you have a big announcement for everyone. You're going to have a show coming up, right? Tell us about it.
Well, you discussed this with me for a long time, and I'm a radio guy and not really a video guy, and you convinced me to try this out. And, what I want to do is, and I know sports, but I know a lot of people in a lot of different walks of life. And, let's have a show that we can talk to my friends about travel and some of my workmates about like my part-time job at the radio station, or people about wrestling and WPL sports here, different baseball coaches, referees, athletic directors, friends of ours that have businesses of their own, and just do different things, movies. And we're going to try to stay away from controversial stuff like politics and religion, but you never know, we could get that. And just off the top of my head, I've got like 20 things written down already of different show ideas. So, you know what? I mean, we're going to try it out. We're going to see what happens in September and try to make a go of it. A lot of people that I've already talked to have told me, yes, I'll gladly help you out. So, we've got a good friend of ours on the program here today with us. So it's when you're good to people, Leon, people respond and want to help you out and want to be a part of your show.
Absolutely. Congratulations. I'm excited for your show. You mentioned that I was talking to you about it. I've been on you about this for a couple years now, and you do an outstanding job on the radio. Tell us some about what you do in radio and some of your history in radio. You've got a pretty good track record and have done some really good things. Tell the audience about it.
Oh, thank you. It's about 25 years. I started out with, it was called the Nauticom Sports Network with a good friend of mine named Don Rebel. And we basically did a lot of high school sports, every high school sport you can imagine, interviewing golfers, track and field athletes, doing baseball, softball, basketball, football, everything. And we did interview shows and preview shows. And then that morphed into getting some chances on the radio. And then that group sold to MSA, which is Management Science Associates. And then they sold to the Trib High School Sports Network. I still do some stuff for them, but a few years ago started exclusively working for WBVP, WNBA Radio in Beaver County, and do football, basketball, and like baseball and softball. So kind of like one of their guys. We have a team of 3 or 4 guys along with some other people there. And we do Beaver County sports, which is one of the, I think it's 7 or 8 counties that the WPL covers. So more into like one smaller area now, but on the radio a lot more than I used to be. But, I've learned a lot and met a lot of people. And that's kind of why me and you decided hey, let's try this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Since I have a knowledge and I have a good group of people that I could get on a show, and just decided that it's something I want to do. And it's a passion. You know what I mean? Like you have a passion for racquetball, obviously, and other things. I have a passion to broadcast and talk, and this gives me an outlet to do it.
Now, Mike, one of the other cool things, while you're doing sports broadcasting on the radio, you're knowledgeable in so many other areas, not just sports. You and I have conversations about current events. We have conversations about entertainment. We have conversations about politics. Right?
Right.
You're very knowledgeable of everything. So, can you give us an idea of some of the topics? Like list maybe 4 or 5 of some of the show topics that you're thinking about now.
Well, one of them is a good friend of mine, travels everywhere. His name's Cliff Strutz. You know him very well. And he travels the nation, and he's been to every state, and he travels. Not only does he travel, he goes to all the different places to eat. And Leon, we love to eat, and Jay as well. And he just has so many places. And I've been with him, and I've been to places that you wouldn't believe how good they are, and he knows them all. So that's one show topic. Another one, I have a good friend who's a baseball coach, and he's very religious as well. He's a good man. He's a cancer survivor, and I kind of want to bring him on to talk about his battle and how he survived, and also talk about his baseball team and his love for baseball. I also have another friend of ours. His name's Andy Polkowski. I want to bring him on. He owns some Chick-fil-A restaurants. And I want to talk to him about his business and how long it took him to get to that, and what made him decide to go that route. And then I have another one of many sports writer friends who's written a couple of books, and I want to talk to him about his book writing and the decisions that he's made about the books he's read. And that's just 4 or 5 ideas. I have a lot of other ones, but as time goes by, I just have a list. I have a journal, I have a book, and I write things down. And then, I briefly will talk to people. And so far, everybody's been like, let me know, let me know, let me know. And, it's one of those things where I think we're going to have a lot of different ideas.
Yeah, I think you are. I think you are too. My name is Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. We're here with Mike Azadian for his big announcement show, talking about his upcoming show that premieres in September. And you can find out exactly when in September by following Mike on social media. He's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, and you can also go to the Leon Thomas Group website. That's the leonthomasgroup.com. And you can go to our website, you can go to our YouTube, look for announcements there. Now, Mike, you were talking about our friend Cliff, and he travels everywhere to eat and all of that stuff. Listen, let me tell you something. He came to Baltimore, I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago, and he named off some restaurants, right? He said, have you ever been here, here, and here? And I went, no, no, no. He says, well, come on, we're going. And we went to 3 places I'd never heard of. And it was outstanding food. He knows like where everything is, right? So everything. I can see him. Yeah, great guest on the show. You mentioned Andy Polkowski. I don't know. We have a way of doing some giveaways, a giveaway drawing here. Let's get him on. Maybe we walk away with some Chick-fil-A sandwiches. What do you think?
I haven't talked to him yet, but eventually I will. That's just one idea.
Okay.
You're looking for free stuff here. Now, come on, man.
I'm not looking for free stuff, but if the guy owns a Chick-fil-A, come on, we might as well get a sandwich out of the deal.
Can I get a Leon Thomas group shirt?
We don't have any, so I can't give you one.
Spend some of that money you got, man. Come on, let's go.
Man, come on, man. You got the money, man. You're the voice of Beaver County. That's not
no. You're the Leon Thomas Group. It should be Leon Thomas Enterprises, is what it should be.
Oh man. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting into the legalities of names and everything.
You're a tycoon.
Hey, let me ask you this. Way back when we were in college, remember that first time we did some broadcasting together?
Oh yeah, I remember that. A bunch of us, Doug Carter, who is going to be a guest on the show eventually. myself, Bill Goss, Bill McConnell, others, we went into the studio and we all picked the subject. And because nobody was using their studio, now they do all the time. But back then, I kind of wish we could go back to that. And we just kind of had fun with it, and they loved it. And that's kind of what got the bug doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to your show premiering in September. We're talking about Mike's big announcement where he's just told everyone his show will premiere in September. The Leon Thomas Group will be producing it for him. Mike, we're going to go through 3 really quick questions.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to take a break. And then after break, your friend, my friend, Doug Carter is in the green room and
he's
ready to go. He's here, ready to go. So after these 3 quick questions, we're going to take a break. Here we go. Question number 1. What's your favorite food?
Ribs. Pork ribs.
And is there a particular place you like your pork ribs?
Yes. It's called DJ's Ribs out of West Virginia, but now they've expanded. Best ribs ever.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm with you. DJ's Ribs. Yes. That's number 1.
You've been there. I took you.
I've been there. Yes. DJ's Ribs. That's good stuff there. Question number 2. Bar soap or shower gel?
Bar soap. The shower gel just doesn't,
It just doesn't do it for you. Okay. All right.
It just takes too long.
All right. And here's the last one. Steelers or Ravens?
Oh my God. Neither.
But
you know what?
You have a team?
I like all teams. People are going to hate me for this, but I'm not a Steeler fan. I don't mind the Ravens, to be honest with you. I guess I'd pick Ravens over Steelers. I'm not a big Steeler fan. I'm more of a Pirate fan than anything, and I like all teams pretty much.
All right, right on. I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. That's Mike Azadian. His show starts in September. Look out on social media to find out exactly when and where you can watch it. We're going to take a quick break, and during the break, the commercials that you see are all produced by those that are a part of the Leon Thomas Group organization. After those commercials play, Mike, the show will be in your hands, and we'll bring on our friend, Doug Carter. Let's take a break right now. I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. Podcast, virtual events, webinars, streaming shows, and so much more. We want to be your partner in all things virtual.
Renting is everything. It's style at your doorstep. Off the runway and into your closet. It's every trend you've been dying to try and every designer you've yet to discover. It's wearing it your way every time and making it count everywhere you go. It's never worrying about what to wear, because something new is always coming your way. That's why renting is everything. New styles, top designers, all for a flat monthly fee. Start your subscription at renttherunway.com.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you The Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
Water. It's everywhere. We drink it, we bathe with it, we cook with it. Coffee's made with water. Toilets won't flush without it. It's used for washing clothes, dishes, utensils, pots, pans, floors, and our teeth. Plants and crops need water, animals drink it, and fish need it too. And don't forget, we can have a lot of fun in the water. Water. What will we do without it?
Welcome to the first Mike Azadian show. That's what we're going to call it for now. We may change the name, of course, legalities. We want to have things proper, but I'm Mike Azadian. Leon has introduced me and talked to me, and our first guest on our first show is a guy that I've known, Leon's known. Jay, behind the scenes, he knows as well. Good friend of ours. His name is Doug Carter. Doug has an extensive background in college basketball and was in the military as well, and has coached around the nation. But today we're going to talk with him about baseball. He's a big fantasy baseball guy, a huge baseball fan. And being that the baseball draft, the MLB baseball draft is tonight, we wanted to talk to Doug a little bit because he's got a lot of knowledge about it. And Doug, welcome to the show. Are you with us?
Mike, thanks so much. I appreciate it. I feel honored being a part of your very first show.
How about that?
And
I don't know. I'm just a little bit. I mean, we don't have our own group. You know, Leon has his own group. We don't. I feel like, you know, I'm honored to be on the Leon Thomas group thing. We're gonna have to name it the Mike Azadian group, maybe the show. I don't know.
Well,
but Doug, tell us a little bit briefly about, you know, your background. You've coached, your sports knowledge. You know, how we met, that kind of stuff.
Well, you know, the three of us, Leon, yourself, and I, you know, we went to at the time, one of the few schools that had sport and recreation management, and took that field seriously. And, you know, now, my goodness, there are hundreds of colleges that have that as a major. We all can conglomerate it together. And Robert Morris was where we met in Pittsburgh, and we were brought there from that major, and we were all very, very interested in sports, and Pittsburgh is a big time sports town. And, you know, we were just all interested in sports, and we got connected with the number one program at the time was the Division I men's basketball program while you were there, and Leon started those trips to the NCAA, and that was a glory time. Chipper Harris and Bay Grant and Matt Furjanic, you guys know him so well, and we just got into we carried positions that you would never be able to get now, you know, as a freshman and sophomore in college. And so we got, you know, a great deal of experience real quickly, you know, as 18, 19-year-olds, as you know. You know, that just kind of fueled and sparked the interest in basketball for me. And I know, you know, you are such a sports fan. Leon is such a sports advocate himself and a fan. You know, my job is college basketball. I coach at Wells College, a very small Division III college in the Finger Lakes area in New York, and we're trying to build a program. I've coached at the Division I level. I've coached Division II level, junior college when I was in Pittsburgh, and this is a Division III school, and we're trying to rebuild, and so it's a great challenge. But as you said, my passion. I love baseball, man. I've always loved baseball. I've had a chance to work at low levels of the minor leagues.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I love baseball, and
we're gonna talk more baseball too. Couple things that come to mind. You mentioned a conglomerate, and that's a whole nother show. Leon hears me say that. He knows what I'm talking about. We had a conglomerate at Robert Morris College. We could talk about that another day. Yes. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the idea of this show. I mean, you're a guy that I could have on here numerous times. I plan on having you for, college basketball talk, and there's some friends I'm going to have on 2 or 3 times because there's different knowledge for different things. TV shows is one that I could have you on as well. Things we've loved to watch in the past. But today we're going to talk Major League Baseball. And tonight is the Major League Baseball draft. And I know me and you both are really into that. I know Jay behind the scenes, he is too. I wouldn't say controversy, but the Pittsburgh Pirates have the first pick. And this is, I think, Doug, is this the first or second year where they used the draft lottery? Can you remember?
First year, yes.
Right. And the Pirates won the draft lottery. So my first question to you is, a lot of people think it should be Dylan Cruz from LSU. A lot of people think it should be Paul Skeens, the pitcher from LSU. Those seem to be the top 2. But the Pirates have vetted the top 5. Wyatt Langford's another one. Max Clark is another one. Walker Jenkins. Those seem to be the consensus 3, 4, and 5. But now today, I hear and read rumors that the Pirates seem to be locked on Wyatt Langford. So what is your opinion of this whole thing as we start the discussion about the draft and specifically the Pirates at number 1?
Yeah, the Pirates are in that odd situation that they have the power, and hopefully for them, that's one of the few times that they'll be picking, so early in the draft. They're a small market team. And 2 years ago, they picked an unlikely number 1, and then they used the excess because each draft pick has a slot money assigned to it. And so the higher the pick, the more money that is supposed to go to that pick. So if Mr. Langford agrees to a lower value for his contract, his signing bonus, they may be able to use that money later on another pick. The Pirates did that really, really well 2 years ago by picking a need, which was their catcher, but he was not the number 1 or thought to be the best pick. And then they used that extra money in the second round on a guy that probably would have went to college, Anthony Salamito. And he is a left-hander who has a very high upside, and he just dropped into the MLB top 100. He has a high ceiling, and they probably would not have been able to get him, being a small market team, had they spent that entire bonus. So that is what they're looking at, because Langford might be the only one that they can sign within the parameters and still have an ability to sign other guys.
Now,
because
I was going to say, from what everybody is saying, all the experts are saying, and I think we both agree that this year seems to be, the Skeens, Cruz are the top 2. Langford's right there with them. But they also say that Walker Jenkins and Max Clark are 2 guys that on a most normal draft, they would be under consideration for number 1 pick. So it is thought to be a very strong draft. We're going to mention some other guys too, but this seems to be unusually strong right now. But then, 5 years from now, we're going to look back and say, maybe not, because you well know that there's a lot of first-round busts. It's all conjecture.
Oh, absolutely. And you and I just looked at 2008 draft, which there just wasn't any talent in the Pirates. Who we have interest in, obviously, with the first pick. They had the second overall pick and picked a pretty good player, but he, most would call it a bust, but he was one of the top guys in that draft, and that just happens because there wasn't a lot of talent. This is a talent. There's a guy that's ranked. He's a Texas high schooler, Travis Stykro, he's a flame throwing guy that would normally be in the top 10. He's probably going to go late first round, maybe early second round, because the draft is so filled with quality players. The top 5 do in fact seem to be a little bit higher, but this is the greatest educated guess. You've got billionaires giving young kids, millions of dollars, and they really don't know. They just really don't know.
Before we move on to some other stuff, we're going to talk Major League Baseball and some other things. I'm going to mention some other guys that most people think are top 10 guys. Jacob Gonzalez, he's a shortstop from Mississippi. Jacob Wilson, the son of Jack Wilson. He is at Grand Canyon University. Chase Dollander, a pitcher from Tennessee. Rhett Lauder, a pitcher from Wake Forest. Braden Taylor, a third baseman from TCU. And Kyle Teal, a catcher from Virginia Tech. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, those other guys have been mentioned, mostly 6 to 10. Some are a little bit out of that. Is there anyone, I know who you really like, and I know who I really like in that, but is there anyone there you really like and can see being, I don't want to say a surprise, but maybe down the line could be better than a Cruz, a Langford, a Clark down the line when we look back at this draft?
Well, I think I really don't think, and Cruz is a generational talent. His upside is to probably be a Spencer Strider type right away. And his downside, to be honest with you, I think most baseball guys would agree, is probably just a little bit lower than, say, Scherzer when he came into the league. I mean, his ceiling is not as, his floor is very high. I don't think you're at the very least you're going to get a top 3 starter out of him, and so it kind of skews things. But I think Jacob Gonzalez is somebody who I really like, and I just think he was part of the Mississippi College World Series championship as a freshman.
2 years ago.
Freshman, SEC Freshman of the Year. Just solid. He's a combination of a couple of guys you mentioned, between Jacob Wilson and some of the other
right.
The fellow Braden Taylor from TCU.
Exactly.
He's kind of a combination of that, but he plays the key position of shortstop, and he's probably going to stay at shortstop.
I look at it like Kyle Teal could be the next Buster Posey. He might not be. I just seem to think I have high hopes for Skeens, Cruz, Langford, of course, but I just have a feeling about Jacob Wilson. Just the kid just has a wealth of knowledge from his dad. The kid can hit, and he seems to have a lot of things that they don't like his exit velocity, and they don't like this, they don't like that, but he doesn't strike out and he hits. And I just have a feeling that down the line he could be a solid major leaguer. We're going to move on since we only have 40 minutes on the Mike Azadian show here, part of the Leon Thomas Group Productions. We appreciate all that they can do. Doug, let's talk about, well, first, real quick, because we talked about this briefly last night. I want to talk about Ellie De La Cruz. He stole 3 bases in Milwaukee. Basically didn't pay attention to him, but the way the game has changed because of the speed, it's kind of brought back the 70s and 80s. I love it, and I think you love it too, and I think it's made the game a little more exciting. What do you think about that briefly?
Oh, and absolutely. And he is right there with Corbin Carroll and that whole Arizona Diamondback crew in terms of just bringing excitement back to the game. Not so much the 3 outcomes, strikeout, walk, or a home run. These guys get on base. They just cause a ruckus. And De La Cruz, but right before De La Cruz came up, Matt McClain, a kid from UCLA, came up, and he's got the same go mentality too. He'll get on and he'll steal, and he's got some extra base power.
That's really propelled Cincinnati. We'll talk about them. Ronald Acuna is another one. 40 stolen bases before the All-Star break. We haven't seen that since Ricky Henderson days. I mean, we grew up watching Ricky with 100 stolen bases. So we kind of grew up in that and saw the game go to more home runs and the speed taken away. I think we both enjoy the speed coming back in.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing, power comes and goes, and you just never can really count on it, but the speed is always there. Now you can't steal first base, but once you get on, as Cruz showed the other night, you can literally change a game, because it looked to me like the Brewers just didn't pay attention to him.
Yeah.
And before you know it, in literally 40 seconds, the Reds had a run without the ball even leaving the catcher or the pitcher's mitt. And
exactly. I mean, baseball's so many parts, obviously pitching, obviously offense, but I don't think enough people take in consideration defense, which you mentioned. And to win, you have to have all three. You can have a great lineup, but no pitching. You could have great defense, but you have to have something of all three to win. And that may be why Milwaukee's where they're at. But let's talk about Major League Baseball. I mean, I think we both agree wholeheartedly the Atlanta Braves, far and away right now through the break, are the number one team. They're playing at a .682 winning percentage. They have an unbelievable lineup. Doug, they could legitimately have 6 guys starting the All-Star game if you look at their lineup. I mean, this might be one of the best lineups we've ever seen.
Oh, and, guys like Michael Harris aren't going. I mean, he's
right.
He's
like number 7 on their depth chart. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talk about, he bats 9th for them. And at any point, he can either take you. I mean, he hit 2 home runs the other day. He's one of the fastest and best defenders in center field. I mean, I don't want to overuse the word great player, but he can impact the game so many ways.
No doubt.
And he's staying home for, he's not one that got a chance to go to the All-Star.
You got Ronald Acuna, probably one of the leading contenders for the MVP. You got Matt Olson, who's a tremendous first baseman and home run hitter. You've got Ozzie Albies at second base with his home run power and his defense. Oh. You've got Austin Riley, who can hit the heck out of the ball at third. The catchers, I mean, their backup catcher is a guy that starts for almost any other team. And I don't know why their catchers are eluding me right now. He's setting records for home runs. That's just their offense. What's the catcher's name? I forget.
Oh, yeah, the young man who came over from Oakland. And because you're asking.
I can't remember.
I'm sorry. Remember either.
And then the pitching, when you get to the pitching for the Braves, and we don't want to spend all day on the Braves, but the pitching with Spencer Strider as their lead guy, they have so many pitching injuries, but they keep bringing guys up. Their organization's so good. So whoever they've brought up has been an all-star. So it's amazing. They don't take a step back with injuries, and they're playing almost 700 ball. It's scary.
That's the one thing, no matter what, pick a team, and you can say, if they have injuries, or if they stay healthy, this team will be great. But they've sustained those injuries, and the pitching staff, and they just keep motoring on with that deep draft and development program that they have, and they take young men. Harris, we mentioned, was not a first round draft pick. Multiple teams drafted him. I believe he was a 4th round draft pick. Their pitching staff is filled with quality arms all the way down to Double-A, and they call upon those guys. And the key, other teams call upon guys, but they produce. Right. And that's really impressive. And that's something that is definitely why Atlanta is scary.
And we have about 5 minutes left. I briefly, National League, I'm going to mention some teams. I want you to tell me if you think anybody's going to be on the rise in the second half or anybody's due for a fall. Obviously, Atlanta, Arizona, Dodgers, San Francisco, Milwaukee, Cincinnati. These are all leaders or close to the division. Miami, Philadelphia. Do you see anybody rising out of that group? Anybody falling out of that group before we get to the American League? What are your thoughts quickly on that?
Well, it's so interesting in that the Central, in the NL Central, because of the quality of pitching that both the Reds and the Brewers could get back.
Right.
Woodruff is a true number one. He can pitch as an ace. If he comes back and he lights the world up, the Brewers have a huge chance. Lodolo is a left-hander, for the Reds that can come back, and he wasn't healthy. But the problem, he was injured, but his injury was not his arm, so he can come back, and those two guys can be as big of an impact as anybody will get.
Anybody you see falling or faltering out of that group quickly?
The Dodgers have had more than an ample chance because of injuries and everything else. But between their deep pitching and Mookie Blaylock and Freeman, boy, they just keep those guys. They keep the boat floating, man.
I just seem to think that the Phillies and the Padres are going to have a good second half because they have good lineups. Phillies have two very good pitchers, and I see those teams both making a move. They've already made some moves. I know that the Padres are under 500, but I just feel that those two can make moves quickly. Let's get to the American League as we have about 3 minutes left. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay, the number 1 right now. Baltimore, number 2. Texas, 3. Houston, 4. Yankees, 5. Toronto, 6. Cleveland has moved up to 7. Minnesota, 8. I'll give you my thoughts. I still think that's going to pretty much stay about the same. I think that I've always thought Texas could fall, but they withstood DeGrom's injury, and Houston's had injuries as well. It's hard to say there. I just like what Cleveland's doing, and the question becomes, do they trade Bieber? And I think the American League is going to be affected the most by other teams making trades as we have about 2 minutes left. Doug, your thoughts on the American League?
I can't disagree, Mike. And the biggest thing is that the pool of teams that are possible trade partners is not that large. I mean, Oakland, Kansas City. So you've got Greinke.
Right. I was thinking about that. White Sox, possibly they're going to pack it in. Colorado. There's only maybe about 6 or 7 teams, and there's only so much talent that can be traded.
Right. So the key could be a guy like St. Louis and Flaherty,
yes,
John Flaherty. Because he's young and he's been in postseason before. But it's key. Now can Cleveland trade Bieber and get somebody back that can help them immediately?
Right.
And also then rely on that young pitching.
I agree. And who's going to be willing to trade? Will Baltimore trade some of their young guys? Will Toronto do the same? Will Texas do the same? I think that they will. And I think teams like the White Sox, like you mentioned, St. Louis, and some of those teams, they got to realize this isn't the year, and it's almost time for them to pack it in. Doug, quickly, I mean, we're getting ready to end this first show. Wish we had more time because me and you could talk about this for hours. We're going to have to talk to the Leon Thomas Enterprises, or I'm sorry, Leon Thomas Group, and maybe make this an hour show. But this is the first Mike Azadian show. That's what we're calling it now. I got to come up with a name. Doug, you're going to have to help me out with that.
Well,
but it's been great talking to you. And, I hope the Pirates pick Skeens. We didn't really talk Pirates. I hope they pick the pitcher because I feel, as all these teams are, you're never going to be a contender unless you have a number 1-2. And if he's as good as they say, maybe you have him and Keller, and that elevates you to contender status. And I really think that that's what you have to do. That's my last thought, Doug. I know you've got a challenge ahead of you with your recruiting and all that. And I appreciate you coming on to talk about the draft and baseball in general. And I'm sure we're going to have you on again for other shows as well as time is running down here. Any thoughts real quick, Doug, up 15 seconds. What do you got?
15 seconds. If you want to check something out, check out Skeens' hitting ability when he was both a freshman and sophomore at Air Force Academy. He would have been drafted as a catcher first baseman, probably, corner infielder. He would have been drafted in the 4th or 5th round alone on his hitting. Okay. He hit 410 with lots of home runs. All right. He is the real deal.
All right, we're down to 5 seconds, and I want to thank everybody for coming on here for the big announcement, and thanks to the Leon Thomas Group, thanks to Leon Thomas, Jay Rosenko, and the other young man in the studio who I forgot to write his name down, and I apologize, but we'll make sure to have his name in the future. Thanks to all the guys behind the scenes, and thanks to Doug Carter, and look forward to September, and watch my Facebook page and others, and we will have more announcements for more of our shows. Thank you very much here on the Mike Azadian Show.